Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me in this video. I'll be discussing common speech errors, also known as slips of the tongue, as well as errors in speech comprehension, also known as slips of the ear. These errors in comprehension and production are completely normal, and we are all guilty of them at one point or another. In fact, if you never commit errors in production or comprehension of language, you are not human, and you should get to check it out. Let's start with speech error or slip of the tongue. Although there are a number of speech errors, this video will focus on a few of the more common ones. First, let's start with anticipation. This is an error in which a later sound replaces an earlier sound in an utterance. For example, in basketball, a player can take a free throw, but this phrase is often mispronounced as three throw. In the text sample, three throw, you have the interdental fricative replacing the labial dental fricative in that utterance. In other words, your brain is already anticipating having to articulate the interdental fricative before the phrase is even uttered. Next is perseveration. This is a speech error in which an earlier sound replaces a later sound, or in which that earlier sound simply sticks around or perseveres. Here's the term perseveration. So the phrase black boxes could be mispronounced as black boxes. Notice here that the old sound is hanging around awkwardly, like the weird guy at the party who stayed way too long after all the other guests have left. Next is word exchange. This is an error in which one word switches positions with another word in an utterance. So, for example, instead of the phrase 50-pound bag of dog food, a speaker might actually say a 50-pound dog of bag food. Next is a blend. A blend is an error in which part of two or more words are combined to yield a new word. So, for example, instead of either saying great or good, a speaker might say good. I don't see what the problem in with that. It's perfectly good. Next is metathesis. Metathesis is a speech error in which two sounds switch position with one another. So, for example, in the phrase milk and honey, this could be mispronounced as hilk and money. Notice here that the glottal fricative and the bilabial nasal have switched positions. Much like a politician changing their stance on an issue, it's important to note that metathesis is a speech error is not to be confused with metathesis as a co-articulation effect, such as in the pronunciation of ask as act. This is often a feature of some speakers' dialect of English. Next is a spoonerism. This is a kind of metathesis that involves sounds or sound clusters switching position with each other across words. This result is memorable phrases such as the dear old queen becoming the queer old king. Now, spoonerism were named after Reverend William Spooner, who taught at Oxford for years. He was reported to have used this so-called spoonerism a lot, although it's unclear whether he didn't so, and if he did, whether they were actual speech error or intentional mispronunciation used for comedic effects. Lastly, there's a malapropism. A malapropism is a speech error in which the speaker used an incorrect word that sounds similar to the target word. For example, after a boxing match, Mike Tyson was interviewed and asked what he would do next in his career. He responded, I don't know. I might just fade into Bolivian. Rather than I might just fade into oblivion. Bolivian and oblivion sound very similar, and in fact, there's a bit of metathesis going on there. But because they are different words and the incorrect word is used, that's why we are calling this a malapropism. This term malapropism comes from Mir's Malaprop, who was a character in Richard Sheridan's play The Rivals. This character was known for using this so-called malapropism to comedic effect. Just like the spoonerism, this can be honest speech errors or intentional mispronunciations. It's important to recognize that, although some speech errors may appear random, they are not random because they are governed by phonotactics or the system of rules that determine what phonemes can go next to what other phonemes in a language. In English, for example, we have the phrase black and white, so we would not expect an English speaker to say something like black and white. Why? Well, that's because in English, the sound sequence cannot form a syllable one set. However, instead of the phrase black and white, a speaker could say white and black, not only because white and black but represent permissible syllables in English, but they are also actual words in English. So why do these slips of the tongue happen at all? There are a number of reasons. I mean, a speaker could be tired, distracted, multitasking, or they could be feeling perfect and just make a simple mistake. Remember, these speech errors are totally normal and we all do them at some point. But they do over a unique window to the complex process of the speech production. Now let's discuss error in comprehension or slip of the ear. We have all done this at some point or another. Often this happens in casual conversation where we just mishear somebody and misunderstand what they say because we have incorrectly phrased the words that they have used. But the more memorable example of slips of the ear happen with misinterpreting song lyric in music. For example, if you can think back to the famous Elton John song, Tiny Dancer, you could be forgiven if you mistook the lyric as Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer, an actor, instead of Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer. Maybe you remember Jimi Hendrix's song, Purple Haze, and he say, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." Well, a lot of people thought that he said, "Excuse me while I kissed this guy." When I was younger and would hear the Rolling Stones sing their song Beast of Burden, I was sure that Mick Jagger was actually singing I Will Never Be Your Pink Suburban, rather than I Will Never Be Your Beast of Burden. So, why do these slips of the ear happen? Well, just like with slips of the tongue, it could be a number of reasons. I mean, the listener could be tired because could be distracted or hey, even if everything is fine, our brains often make mistakes and try to resolve ambiguities of unclear parts of language by filling in the blanks itself based on context and lived experience. It's perfectly natural and we all do this. So, as with slips of the tongue, slips of the ear offer a really unique window into the complex process of speech comprehensions. Okay, that's all for now. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching and please feel free to comment below with an example of slip of the tongue or slip of ear that you have either heard or perhaps used in the past. In the meantime, stay safe, be well, and I'll see you soon. Take care!